Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to America once again. So this is yet another one of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over to Iowa to see my friend's wedding. And this one was very kindly donated to me once again by my friend Miles, who is from Connecticut. So we are going to go back to the state of Connecticut and we're having a taste of my first beer from Beard Brewing Company. So these guys are from Stonington in the very southeast of the state, pretty much as southeast as you can get, right on the Rhode Island border. This particular beer is called Dogs and Boats and it's a New England double imperial IPA coming in at 9.1% ABV. And this is a beer that is really quite highly rated. When I checked this one out on Untappd earlier, it has a rating of 4.11, which is really pretty bloody impressive actually, and I know that this is a very small operation. The beers that Miles has given me to review for you here on the channel have all been awesome, so I'm sure this one will be really good. I think this is the heaviest, the highest alcohol beer that he's given me to review for you, so I'm really looking forward to this one. A huge thank you to him for making this review possible, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. Citra and Mosaic in this, so two hops that I know really quite well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Beard Brewing Company. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the American beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Beard Brewing Company then, on to my brewery notes. So Beard Brewing was founded back in 2011 by Aaron Simoncini and his wife Precious Putnam, and they're based in Stonington in New London County, which is pretty much as southeast in the state of Connecticut as you can get. It's right on the Rhode Island border, in fact. But he had been introduced to brewing in a much coveted Beers of the World course at university when he was working on his finance degree. He'd completed all of his necessary modules and then he just took some things for extra and he got into this course, which was highly sought after. But it was a home brewing demonstration during this course that really piqued his interest in actually brewing for himself. So he got his brewery up and running in 2012 after home brewing for a good period of time, and after 6 months of working on the brewery he actually decided to quit his job as an accountant and go full time because of the amount of positive feedback that he was getting. And they've been going very, very strong since then. He's increased the number of employees. Apparently he thought he could just do a brewery in his evenings and stuff like that. He never thought that he would need employees or anything like that, but now he's got a good number of employees behind him and they've been working to expand their capacity over the last couple of years. They currently run a 217 gallon or 7 US barrel system, which I believe is like 825 litres in the metric system, the real people measurement system, and as of June 2019 they've produced around 115 different varieties of beer. Their flagship beer is the Whiskered Wit, and apparently they went with a wit beer for this because he said that every other brewery was doing an IPA, so he wanted to do something a little bit different to make himself stand out from the crowd. But they do have an on-site tap room as well that opens Thursday to Sunday. You can buy these cans in there as well, and they do growlers and crowlers and stuff like that in there as well. So yeah, another very, very small Connecticut brewery. Connecticut is one of the smaller states in America, I think by landmass, other than Rhode Island. I don't know about Delaware actually, but this is the second or third smallest state in the US by landmass. But they do have some pretty cracking beers up there as well. You know, not too many people actually live in Connecticut either, but the beers that I've been trying, thanks to Miles from Connecticut, have been pretty damn impressive. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery for the moment. That was all I was really able to find on them actually when I was researching them. But yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. If you want to learn a little bit more about the brewery, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and of course you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. That will keep you up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the beer lists on Untappd and rate beer as well, and that will tell you all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer and see how we get on. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. There you can see there is the Beard Brewing Company's symbol. If I let you zoom out a little bit there, you can see the dog. Looks a little bit like a beagle, actually. I think that is a beagle. I'm a big fan of German Shepherds, in fact. You know, my dad was a colonel in the police force in Scotland, so you know, I always grew up playing with his friends, German Shepherds. I always loved playing with the police dogs. So yeah, this one is a double IPA hopped with Citra and Mosaic, two hops that we know very, very well. Citra, of course, it's mango-y notes and then all the fruit complexities, and Mosaic, it's nice tangerine oranges and that little kind of blueberry complexity that it can sometimes have. But it says on the back here, situated along the New England coastline, we've noticed that there's nothing people here love more than their dogs and boats. The two are a match made in heaven, so we wanted to brew a beer that evoked the same emotions. When we put Citra and Mosaic hops together in this double India Pale Ale, we knew our mission was accomplished. Our aim at Beard is to reincarnate the days gone by when beer was produced by someone on your block rather than a multinational corporation. We're obviously not concerned with the economies of scale, and we think that shows in the quality of our offerings. We hope you love drinking it as much as we love making it. Brewed and canned by the Beard Brewing Company, Bayview Avenue, Unit 15, Stonington, Connecticut. So yeah, nicely presented that. I do like this can, in fact. But yeah, like I said, this is the heaviest of the beers that Miles has given to me at 9.1%. This is a bit of a monster. It's actually almost bordering on a triple IPA, this, in fact. So yeah, and this one actually very clear. Could this be a West Coast IPA, actually? I'm really curious to see how this turns out. It does actually smell more like a West Coast IPA, in fact, and if it is, I'm very, very excited for it. So yeah, I must have told you a lie then at the start, so I apologise for saying that this was a New England IPA. So yeah, as you can see, if I hold this beer up to the light, it's actually a nice, it's almost in the middle of being like a sort of straw golden colour and a slightly more ambery colour. It's almost like a slightly ambery yellow colour, this beer, if that at all makes sense. But yeah, a nice bright colour, this one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. You can see the carbonation in this beer is pretty active, in fact, and I would say there's about a half finger of a frothy, perfect white head on this one. If I put my fingers behind the glass, if I wipe away the condensation, of course, you can see that this beer does have a good little bit of clarity to it, but at the same time it does have a little bit of haze, but nowhere near as hazy as some of these big juice bomb New England IPAs are going to be. I really expected this one to be a New England double IPA, to be honest with you, but to be honest, it does look more along the lines of a West Coast double IPA. But like I say, at 9.1%, you are starting to get along the lines of encroaching on triple IPA territory. I would say maybe a triple IPA should be above like 9.5 or 10%, something like that. But yeah, it looks really nice. Nothing particularly surprising about this one in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is, other than the fact that it's from New England and it's not hazy. Bit unusual in that sense. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this beer. Oh, yeah, going from the aroma, this one's a West Coaster, so that's quite nice. It's nice to get a little bit of a change of scenery in this one, and it's cool to try a West Coast IPA from New England. Actually, I can't think if I've actually tried any West Coast IPAs from New England before, but yeah, that smells really nicely. You can smell the booze in this beer first off. You can smell that in the malt base. You've got a nice little bit of a pale malty quality in there. On top of that, you can detect the really strong kind of boozy, almost syrupy caramel in there. It's quite a bright sweetness, right enough, but it's not really toasted in any way, but you've got those biscuity, grainy notes coming out of it. It almost smells like a kind of alcoholic McVitie's Digestive. I don't know if that's a good reference for Americans. I can't remember if you get McVitie's Digestive biscuits over there, but the aroma of this one, the malt base in this, is a really strong, boozy caramel. It almost reminds me in a way, actually, the way that the brown sugars in this one are coming out, it almost reminds me of a very, very strong Maibock type beer from Germany. That's the way that the biscuity notes are really dominating that. So for me, that's a little bit of an unusual point about this beer, the fact that it's quite boozy, and you can smell just a really boozy, biscuity quality coming out of the malt base of this one. So yeah, pay attention to that when you taste, when you have a look at the aroma of this beer. So yeah, maybe. Yeah, definitely a big biscuity, boozy kind of note, this one. I like how that goes together, in fact, and I'm excited for this one, considering that it is more of a West Coast style IPA. I think when you go above 8% 8.5% with a New England IPA, you're going to struggle to cover the alcohol in these without actually putting a bit of caramel or something in there to sweeten it up, and you know, that takes away from the kind of oaty creaminess that you're used to with this style, of course. So maybe this is why they've done a West Coast IPA when it's this strength, to be honest. But yeah, nice smelling malt base to this one. A little bit unusual, as I say. It reminds me of the old Maibock beers. But yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of things then, you can pick up a little bit of earthiness from this one. For me, that's coming from the Mosaic. I've always found that Mosaic has just a little touch of earthiness there. It's also got a good little bit of a floral quality and a grassy side to it as well. In terms of the aroma, it's actually quite well balanced between those. It doesn't really lean towards any of the two more than the other. The earthiness is sticking out of this one quite a bit though, but you're getting some nice juicy fruity qualities out of this beer as well. Now for me, the fruity side of things is leaning towards the tangerine oranges, and that means the Mosaic is coming out a little bit more. But in fairness, when you take it in a little bit more deeply, you can pick out some of the complexities from the Citra, and when you're further away from it, if you just waft it like this, I always call this the lab waft. We used to do this with really pungent chemicals in the lab that I was working in. You can pick out some of the nice mango notes, and when you open up the can, you will pick out some of these mango-y notes from the Citra as well. But you can pick out, there's a little bit of an almost gooseberry, lychee type quality as well, and I'm picking up a little bit of a blueberry note to this one too, but it's very straight up, I think, in terms of the tangerine oranges. That's the main fruit that's coming out in the aroma for me with this beer. So yeah, overall it's quite a big, this IPA really smells quite oily rather than anything else. So yeah, a big oily, boozy smelling double IPA, this one. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck into it. But we're going to have a taste of it now and just see how we get on. So yeah, this one is it the Dogs and Boats, to get it the right way around? Yes, the Dogs and Boats from Beard Brewing Company in Stonington, southeastern Connecticut, over in New England in the US. Thank you again to Miles for making this review possible. A double IPA, looking like a West Coast one, coming in at 9.1% ABV. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Ooh, right. Now, that's nice. First thing I'm going to say about this beer, if I blind tasted that, I would not guess that that's 9.1%. That is dangerous. That is really quite dangerous, that. You know, one of the things I will admit that bothered me a little bit when I was over in the US, when you go and visit breweries, they're always in industrial estates or in the middle of nowhere. And people drive to these breweries and they'll drink beer and then they'll drive home. This beer, if I blind tasted this at 9.1%, you'd never know that it's that level of strength. It covers its alcohol pretty damn well. You do get a little bit of warmth down here, in fairness, but in terms of the way the flavours come out, this beer is really good at covering its alcohol strength. So, you know, kudos to them for that. But when Americans drive to breweries and drive home, that is a little bit dangerous now that I think about it. But I'll tell you straight away, I can see why this brewery is pretty highly rated, in fact. So, you know, if you get the chance to try some of the beers from this brewery, on the basis of this one, I don't think you're really going to go wrong, actually. I'd like to try their wit beer, and their signature beer, and see how that turns out. But yeah, this one is really nice, actually. It's very well balanced, in fact. I like how it goes together. It does have a little touch of New England quality to it, to be honest. It does have that nice smooth malt base, but there is a little bit of the sweetness that you'd expect of the New England IPAs. And in fairness, when we talk about the beer scene here in Sweden, and indeed the beer scene back in my other home in Scotland, there seems to be a good few of these almost hybrid New England West Coasty type beers coming out. I don't know if they're going to make a new sub-style of these or whatever, but this one's one of the ones that has a little bit of New England, a little bit of West Coast, and it works pretty well, in fact. At 9.1%, Question is, drinking a can of this, to me, 473 millilitres of beer, pretty much a half litre of 9.1%. I'd share that. I just like a little bit of this to taste, and you know, Americans will drink 4 packs of this, and you're like, it's crazy. To me, it's a bit crazy. But this is a really nice beer, this one, and it's a bit of a monster. It's just dangerous how drinkable this one actually is. But let's try and break the flavour down for you a little bit more, and give you a proper tasting. So yeah, with this beer then, you can taste, there's a really nice sort of pale malty quality, that just blankets the middle of the tongue. When you go further into the aftertaste, it actually becomes a little bit more kind of grainy, to be honest. You can feel the middle of your palate just drying out a little bit the further you go into your aftertaste, and it almost comes across as being slightly like a brown bread, like a wholemeal bread in some way. So that's kind of an interesting point to make about this beer. It's not really it almost has a little bit of an English malt-based, malty character to it again, which is quite interesting. There's not really I think I maybe told you a bit of a lie earlier, I don't think there's a sort of wheaty smoothness to this or anything. It's not really such a smooth IPA, this one, in terms of its malt base. Initially it is, but then it really dries out a bit and becomes more grainy in my mind. But in the beginning, yeah, very, very smooth. In the centre of your palate, you've got a nice little bit of a thicker caramelly note in there. It's quite a darker, syrupy caramel, and as you move out from the centre of your palate, you start to get more of these kind of biscuity qualities to the beer as well, which is quite nice. I like how that all goes together. There's almost a little subtlety of a slightly woody flavour for me coming out of this beer as well, and it does have a little bit of that slightly vegetal, herbal kind of thing that you'll find in some of these New England breweries. Actually, I think it comes from the yeasts that they use. It does just have, again, the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, it does have a little bit of that slightly herbal, vegetal kind of vibe to it, which is quite interesting. So yeah, the malt base has a decent amount of stuff going on in it actually, but I like how it goes together. And the back corners of the palate, again, that typical earthiness that you get from Mosaic is definitely coming out here. It's got a nice little bit of that earthy darkness there, and as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, it smooths out a little bit, and then the floral side of the hop starts to come out too. In the very front corners of the palate, there's a nice little bit of a floral aromaticity there. This beer does have a good little bit of bite to it as well, and the IBUs show a little bit, and I think when it comes to a higher alcohol beer like this, you do need a little bit of that. Around the very front curve of the tongue, you've got a little bit of a lighter, grassy kind of thing coming out of this one. And to me, the green side of the hops, it does lean a little bit more towards towards the floral side of things. It does have a little bit of that floral bite, and then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And to me, it's very straight up in how it comes across actually. So yeah, to me, this one, if you go to the very back of that oily bubble that I'm talking about, there's a little touch of a darker grapefruit note there. As you come further forward from that, you start to get the kind of mango-y notes from the citra, and it's a slightly darker mango. I'm guessing that's to do with the alcohol content of this beer. A little bit further forward from that, you're going to get the nice, more oily, orangey notes, and I'd say it's kind of juicy and tangerine. If you compare the Mosaic to the Amarillo to me is always more of an oily orange, whereas the Mosaic is a slightly juicier tangerines. But there is a bit of an oily orange to this one, this particular beer, and I suspect again that's because of the level of alcohol in this beer. And as you come further forward to the front of the palate, you start to get some of the citra complexities. To me, there's a little touch of a limey note to this one, maybe a little bit of lychee, and on the very tip of the palate, I think there's just a little teeny bit of yeah, I think a little tiny bit of a slightly blueberry note to this one. But this is a really quite malty double IPA, this one, almost encroaching on triple IPA territory, as I mentioned earlier. But I like how this one kind of comes across. It really is well done, this beer, so thumbs up to Beard Brewing Company for this one. I would like to try some of their lighter IPAs and see how those come together, but I think they've done a pretty damn good job of this one, and I'd like to try something from the dark side of the spectrum with these guys too, actually. So yeah, fingers crossed I can try a few more of their beers in the future, but this one at 9.1%, it's dangerously drinkable for the monster that it is, so just be aware of that if you try this one. I can feel the alcohol going to my head a little bit, and I've only drank, what, about 100 millilitres of it, like a fifth of the can or a quarter of the can, something like that. So yeah, be careful with this one, give it the respect it deserves. In terms of the mouthfeel then, to me this is quite a full-bodied beer. Carbonation's very smooth on this one, and the mouthfeel really leans towards the oily side of things. Yeah, big oily mouthfeel this one. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness to the beer. I think you're talking 60, 70 IBUs, something like that out of this one. The malt base has a good balance between smoothness and sweetness. It does get a little bit grainy and drier the further you go into the aftertaste, and it leans in the middle towards the sweeter side of things, that kind of boozy, biscuity sort of thing. Incidentally, when I was talking in the aroma about the biscuity side of things reminded me of my box, in the flavour, not at all. It really leans to be a bit more sweeter and things compared to the my box, but yeah, it does have a good boozy quality to it, this one. You can feel a little bit of the alcohol warmth down here the more and more that you drink of it. But good bit of hoppy bitterness, nice quite oily fruity quality to this one. Not so much juicy apart from the tangerine notes. But yeah, quite an oily beer, this one. But I do like how it comes across. It's just kind of dangerously drinkable, this one. So yeah, be careful with it. But definitely a very nice beer, and I hope that I can try more from this brewery. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Dogs and Boats. I wanted to say Boats and Dogs just because it's alphabetical, but this one is the Dogs and Boats at 9.1%. West Coast style double IPA, this one, I think, from Beard Brewing Company in Stonington in the southeastern part of Connecticut in New England in America. A really nice beer, this one. A huge thank you again to Miles for making this one possible, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Beard Brewing Company as well. Do let me know some other beers and breweries that you'd like to see me review too, but I thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This one is the Dogs and Boats, a 9.1% double West Coast IPA from New England, from Connecticut to be specific, in New England over in the US. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Check out this beer, but just be pretty careful with it because it is a bit of a beast. Until the next time, stand you just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you again to Miles, and we'll see you very, very soon, hopefully with some more Connecticut beers. Slàinte, skål.